Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Show Me How It's Done. It is March 2023, which means there is a very exciting announcement from Stampin' Up. They have released some online exclusive products. So the fun part about these online exclusive products is they're not tied to any catalog. So just because a certain spring or annual catalog retires, the items on this online selection, they may stick around. And Stampin' Up has said that while supplies are, available while they last, there are also the possibilities that if something sells out really quickly and it's popular, it will simply come back. They'll reorder it and it'll return. So that's what I wanted to show you guys today. My name is Laura Nerbonis and I'm a demonstrator in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And as you can tell, I'm just very excited to talk about these goodies. So I brought my iPad to show you. So I listed my website on the bottom of this page, lauranerbonis.stampinup.net. So if you go there and you click the Shop Now icon, what you'll be directed to is kind of my main shopping page. Now, because this is very new, there's this giant banner here that says online exclusives. It kind of flips through a few different promotions. So I'm going to click on that. But if it's ever not available, then you just click up in the little menu and you go what's new, and it will show up in there, and sales and specials should also show up in there. So let's click on this banner, and I encourage you guys to go check it out for yourselves, because I realize viewing my iPad on a screen is not the greatest, but there's some really cute little bundles. So we've got some tropical leaves. You can purchase the stamp and punch separately. We've got a new colorful kaleidoscope kit. This is also where all our kits collections are going to start ending up. And those, as we're very familiar with, they have been returning. So as they've kind of run out of stock, the item just simply says unavailable, which means that it will come back at some point. There's some ribbon, some rhinos, and there's little dies for those. I think I want this just for the safari scene. Like, we had those elephants a while ago, and I figured those could go with this scene too. So all in all, just some really beautiful products, some stamps, border dies. You'll notice the French and English versions, so you are seeing some things twice. These are really fun. I don't have them yet, but they're radiating stitches dies, so I think they'll give like a nice border around your dies. And then getting down to what we're going to play with today, this is the Hello Irresistible Suite. So the only thing right now that kind of went really quickly is these loose frosted dots, but you can see here it just says currently, oops, I clicked, sorry. Says currently unavailable there, and that means that they're just reordering. They'll come back, so don't stress. And that is the reason why you can't purchase this whole suite. So you're kind of probably going to stress and say like, oh no, I can't purchase it. But that's just because those loose gems aren't available at the moment. But you can, of course, still purchase the bundle. We're going to play with these basic embossing folders, and then I'm not going to go through the entire page. Right now you can see there's 5 pages worth of stuff. So that includes new product that was added March 1st, as well as the kits. And also what I want, okay, I do want to click on page 5 because I was really excited about this. Look, they brought back some of our circle punches. So everyone was so happy about this that it's currently unavailable again, but they'll be returning. So there's the 1 3/4 inch and the 2-inch punches are back. And I'm so excited to see that because I use those punches all the time. So if you don't have them, they're just a really easy way to kind of get some of your sentiment shapes done. But let's get into the Hello Irresistible card that I have for you. So today, this is the fun card. I wanted to use one of the specialty dies. Here's the Hello, or the Irresistible Blooms stamp. And then inside, I'm using a bunch of the things, but here's the die that I wanted to use. We're also going to pull out a couple of the flower outlines to use today as well, but there's beautiful leaves and all sorts of fun things for you to use with this project. If you watch my videos weekly, and I would love if you liked and subscribed to the channel, I did do a video 2 weeks ago using this suite because I just got it and I wanted to show you this floating panel card. So it's not last week's video, that was a pinwheel card using Rain or Shine, but this is the week before. So you can go to my channel on YouTube, Lauren Scrapplot, and you can see a whole plethora of different videos, and I do hope you find something you enjoy. So all the measurements are listed in the description here. If you want to follow along, feel free to cut the papers and join me, or you might have to like buy the suite and follow along later, which is just fine too. So here is my card. Just made a very beautiful kind of birthday-ish card, but it could also be a celebration of any sort too. And I just picked the hooray, it's your day sentiment for it. So what I need to start with, here we go. So we're gonna start with a basic white card base, and this is just our standard A2 size, if you've heard that term. So A2 just means that it measures 5 and it fits in an A2 envelope. So this one measures 5.5 by 8.5, and I put a score mark at 4 1/4. This is going to be my card base that we're going to do a little bit of cutting on. So for the inside of the card, I do have 2 pieces, but unlike what I usually do where I add these right away, I want to cut my my little circle feature out just in case there's a mistake or something rips. I haven't wasted all of my work. But for the inside, I'm using soft succulent today, both in cardstock and in ink. So this piece is 4 by 5 1/4, and eventually I will add it right in the middle. And this white piece is 3 3/4 by 5, and that will get added on top, like so. We will add those pieces in a few minutes, okay? Now, my other piece of soft succulent, this also measures 4 by 5 1/4. However, do you see a little bit of texture on this? So I used the new online exclusives basic embossing folders. So you actually get 3 embossing folders at once. Let me see if this will focus for you. Yes, no, maybe so. Nope. Sorry, doesn't want to. Okay, the one I'm using kind of has this like hatched look, and it's just so subtle and simple. I like it. We've got some really fun circles. They kind of make your card come alive. And this very simple kind of flower and floral background. I think you could probably use this as little sea stars, or if you wanted maybe some little poinsettias, or just a really subtle like flowery background. So really nice. You do get all 3 of them in that one deal. And so I went ahead of time and I embossed this piece just because I have my cut and emboss folder or machine set up for something else on our project. And this is going to be featured kind of like through the window that we're cutting out. So speaking of that window, let's get working on that. So put all your other pieces aside and grab your card base and this really fun fancy die. So I'm going to need to just move this so I can get my machine up on this table. Oh, this is always fun. Okay, so let me show you how I'm going to line this up. So I want the card to make sure to open the right way, okay? So if I'm laying this out, I'm going to put this on the top section rather than the bottom. And my circle just goes, you know, in the top third with an equal border on either side. And I know, I'm sorry, it's very blurry because the camera doesn't like me being this close to it. So this is where I'm going to rest it. I've got my thick platform, my little die adapter. I've got one of my clear plates. I'm going to go ahead and stick the other one on top now too. This can be run through my cut and emboss machine. And you do want to go kind of maybe forward and backwards on it. There we go. Keep that machine handy. We're going to need it again in the future for our flowers, but it needs to be off my desk for now. Okay, so this die is very detailed. So unlike some of our frames where perhaps the image just pops out of it, you'll need, pardon me, a little bit more care to get this off. So you can either poke it out with a pair of scissors, which have magically disappeared. Oh, there you are. Or take your pick tool, which has the little pokey end. So whatever you choose is up to you, but just, I caution you, just be gentle as you kind of pull the different strings out. So it's kind of tricky to show you from that side. So I'm just going to use my fingers, but of course, if something's stuck for you, you have your other tools at your disposal. Okay, so just a nice circular motion to kind of get that out of your way. And that leaves us with this really fun window on our card. So everything went great for that step. I can go ahead and start assembling my other pieces. So I'm going to start with that inside blank piece of soft succulent. And I like to use my double-sided tape, but of course, if anyone prefers seal or glue, go ahead and use that too. We're just doing flat adhesive for this. I wanted it to be a little fancier than simply just having a plain white inside. Oops. All right. Now our piece of white, we're going to add right on top here. This is so you have something to write on, and we are going to go ahead and just decorate it a tiny bit with a couple of the leaves from the set, just because I thought they were really cute and very subtle. This just goes on the inside. So now I am using soft succulent for every part of my inking today. So it's very simple. All I'm doing is I'm taking that 3 leaf set and I'm stamping in the bottom corner. And then just for kind of a nice well-rounded effect, I decided to do the top corner as well. Now we have our really beautiful embossed piece. This is going to be attached to our card. So I am attaching it in behind this circle very subtly so that it kind of shows through. So whatever side you want showing through, this one is very easy to kind of see the ridges poking up or the ridges lying flat. It's your choice which way you see it. But whatever you want, just make sure it's poking the right way. Give yourself a nice full border for this card. We want it to be very snug against that circle. So I'm actually putting tape kind of around the whole perimeter of that cutout. And then I'm not putting any adhesive on these lines or those little dots. That would just make my life a lot harder than it needs to be. And it's very unnecessary. So don't feel like you have to attach everything. Just taking off all the tape here. There we go. Okay, and this one should go on just with a very slight border around the top, bottom, and sides. It should be equal to this side here. And this one would be really pretty if you wanted to put another sentiment or something right in the middle here. That would work. So there's the inside of our card. It looks really pretty simply because we can see the other side of that embossing too. And now it's showing through the front. So to decorate our card front, we have lots and lots of options here. We've got sentiments galore in this set. So you start with a sentiment that you want, and then I would suggest working around it. Okay, so if you wanted one of these longer ones, it will take up this whole bottom section. And then you'll work your other pieces around. If you wanted one of the small ones like I'm doing, it's really only going to take up one of those sides. So I've chosen Hooray, It's Your Day. And I'm going to stamp that here. Sorry, I'll show you the full card again. There you go. I'm just stamping that right in the bottom on the left-hand side here. There we go. Now my decorations, these little spots, I'm going to add after I do the flowers because then I just make sure that they're not getting in the way of what I'm doing. So, but I do want to always work around my sentiment. Okay, so let's set those aside and let's talk about these flowers here. Okay, so in our little package of paper, which unfortunately I have decimated like crazy, this is all I have left of it, there's some fun sheets that actually have flowers and leaves that you can cut with the dies in this set here. Okay, so I actually am doing this project as one of the cards for my March monthly club. If anyone's interested, those can be mailed out anywhere across Canada. We do 3 projects at least, and I send you a video tutorial similar to this, but it's not public for everyone, on how you can assemble the cards and projects. So I had to sit here and use all of the pieces that had every sort of possible flower in them, because I couldn't send you a stamped image. So I cut all of those out with dies. There's the flowers, there's a bunch of the leaves, and these were all from one package of paper. So I was able to do a ton of cards with this package, but let's say you use all of them and you're still in desperate need. There are some pretty papers like this one that look very similar to this design. They're different, their backs are different, and this one was printed from Stampin' Up with the flowers, but this one you can make your own flowers. So I'm going to show you how to do that, just using a little bit of Versamark and white embossing powder. So I have my large and my small flower because I need one of each, and I'm going to ink those up. You won't really be able to see these right away. So there's your large one, can barely see it, and the smaller one, there you go. And then we're grabbing our white embossing powder to emboss these. Oh, missed a little. There we go. I love these trays because then I can just dump the embossing powder into there. Okay, so you can see the white vaguely. Now we need to heat this because remember the Versamark just really sticks the powder to it. But if I was to brush my hand over this, all that powder would go flying. So I'm going to grab my heat tool. You won't really be able to hear me as we're going, but you are going to see a difference between kind of the powdery look of my flower here and the glossiness that the heat turns it into. I'm going to just pause there for a second. Do you see how bright the flower now on the left is? That's because all that powder has melted. It's got kind of a shiny look to it. And this one is just starting. So I'm going to keep heating and set this one as well. Oh. And then in the Irresistible Blooms bundle, there are 2 flowers that you can use either to cut out from the designer paper or to now cut out these flowers that you've done. And I like to just use a little bit of this post-it tape to hold those dies in place so that I just make sure they're not going to move on me. I'm going to bring this and just do the cutting on the ground so that I don't have to lug my machine up on the table again. There we go. But those are nicely in place. I'm going to just run them through really quickly. one flower, there's two, and then you can actually just use these guys for your next cut as well. You don't have to change tape in between every time. Now I could do the same idea. There's some papers in the package like this one that are very plain on the one side if I need more leaves, but I did find there was more leaves in the package than there were flowers, so I was left over with actually 2 sheets of leaves once I kind of evened everything else out. So I've pre-cut those 2 leaves for the project today. Okay, so let me bring in my card again here. Okay, so I want to start with my large card or flower as my focal piece. And if you've got dimensionals, now would be the time to grab those because we want to kind of pop this up and make it really come alive. So I'm putting dimensionals all over the back of my large flower. We're going to kind of put that to the bottom right of our circle here. And so this is going to kind of be the main piece. If you decided only to do one flower, this is the one I'd suggest. And then if you want, you can bring in your small one. Now just remember, we don't want dimensionals on the part of the flower that overlaps with the large one. Otherwise you've got this kind of weird lopsided flower. So on the back, only put them on the left-hand side here. Or if you're really worried, just go ahead and put them straight onto your card, and then you won't have to worry about your placement on the flower. Sometimes to get my flowers to kind of stay together, I also add just a tiny bit of tape kind of right on the edge of the large flower, and that will help my flowers just to kind of look like they're stuck together, which they are. There we go. So put those 2 in place, making sure not to go across any writing that you had. And now you can add your leaves. So we've got one with the 3 leaves and one with the 2. Doesn't matter which one goes where. And all I'm doing is I'm putting little couple dimensionals on the back. And then I'm gonna tuck these under my flowers. So I decided I was gonna take the 2 leaf one and place it on the bottom. 3 is going to go for the top. This gets tucked in right behind. You can see these 2 are even different colors just from where I cut them out on the paper, and that's fine. They're all going to look lovely. All right, and then so I thought this was cute. But once I had it in place, I found it a little empty, and I thought, let's add a little bit of splatter. So I do suggest either working on a piece of scrap paper, or if you've got, you know, a chipboard piece like I do, bring that up, set it down so you don't get any stamping on your workspace, okay? And you can stamp anywhere you want. If you chose a sentiment that's different than mine, you will end up needing to stamp in different places. The point is mainly just to give your card a little bit of character. Okay, you can see it's already kind of come alive a tiny bit just by adding those few dots in place, okay? So they can be anywhere you want, and that's the beauty of these splatter dots, is they're gonna look different no matter what. So simple. I did 4. You can do another one up here if you wanted, but figured that was good. Now, if you were lucky enough to get your hands on the loose little frosted dots, you can use those to decorate. If not, don't stress. I'm sure you have tons of rhinestones, little pearls, any of our matte dots. Anything's gonna look great, okay? So don't stress about it. Now, I did want to just highlight here a little secret for you. So these were released March 1st, and you're probably looking at them thinking like, hey, this color looks familiar, this blue, but we don't have that right now. This is Pretty Peacock. And so what Stampin' Up! Has told us so far is that in the next annual catalog, which will be coming out for May, First, there is going to be a color refresh. They've given us no other details beyond that. The only two things that I know is that Pretty Peacock is coming back and a color called Lost Lagoon, because that also showed up in this paper package. This is Lost Lagoon. So those are the only two hints that I know. I also know that with that, Flirty Flamingo and Daffodil Delight will be staying, and they will have more details for us in April. They said they would share a few more sneak peeks and tell us about what they're doing. So I don't want to scare you, but I do just want to say, if there's any colors that you own from our current collection that you don't have the re-inker for and you love, you probably want to grab those now. Okay, it doesn't matter whether they're retiring or not. It's a good practice to have the re-inkers for your ink pads. Otherwise, once you've dried out the ink pad, you can't use it again. So just my little tip for you, just go ahead and order those on your next order, so for your own peace of mind, and I will post and keep you up to date as soon as I know any more. But it's nothing to stress about. It's nice when Stampin' Up does kind of refresh. We haven't had one in 5 or 6 years, so we kind of all knew it was coming. I'm going to use my little Tombow liquid glue and just put 3 dots of glue down. And that is going to be the only thing I use to attach 3 little gems. If you don't have, or if you have too big of nails, or you don't like picking up small things, our Take Your Pick tool has a little putty tip that's perfect for picking these up. Oh, I want the middle size one. There we go. There's 3 sizes. There's a middle, large, and a small. So I'm going to go large with the Pretty Peacock, middle with Flirty Flamingo, and if I can find it, a small little Daffodil Delight. There we go. Or you can use different colors. There, and then you do have to let that dry because, of course, that glue doesn't set right away. Just set this card aside for like half an hour and you should be good, okay? But yeah, if you have any questions about what's coming up, how to find these items, let me know. I will put the link to that online exclusives page in the description this time, just because it is a brand new kind of little venture, but I will also list all the products that I used, and I hope you guys enjoy the card. If you if you want to participate in monthly club, I have a couple kits left and I can mail those out to you, so you'll get this card as well as 2 other ones, and we'll have a really fun time just assembling them. Take care, and I will see you guys next Tuesday for another edition of Show Me How It's Done. Bye.